TV47's daily report, by extension, the People's Court. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. To more news, they are loud, flashy, and unapologetically Kenyan. But now, the iconic Matatu, once celebrated as moving canvases and youth employment hubs, are at the center of a heated battle. The National Transport and Safety Authority is cracking down on unlawful modifications, raising the question: is this a fight for road safety or a clampdown on creative expressions? Tonight, our very own reporter Gilbert Rono takes you into the heart of Kenya's Matatu culture, where passion, paint, and policy collide.
They don't just ferry passengers, they carry Nairobi's identity. For years, Matatus have doubled as mobile art galleries, job creation for the youth, and cultural beacons. But now, they face a reckoning. The National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) has declared war on unlawful modifications. But is this a war for safety or against survival? Kenya now stands at a cultural crossroad. On one side, safety, order, and control. On the other side, expression, creativity, and identity. NTSA insists that certain modifications, though visually captivating, compromise safety protocols and violate the PSV standards. But the crackdown doesn't just threaten graffiti, it threatens livelihoods. Kenya's Matatu customization industry supports a growing ecosystem of creatives and informal workers. From painters to welders, sound engineers to tailors, this industry sustains thousands. The estimated industry statistics shows that 10,000 Matatus are customized annually, with an average spend of 1 million to 2 million shillings per Matatu, and an estimated economic output of over 2 trillion shillings per year, and over 30,000 news and suppliers relying on this sector. This informal value chain, from paint vendors to speaker importers, is now under threat. Meet Shades, the artist, a graffiti expert working out for a local workshop. He's been in the trade industry for 7 years. He tells her that beyond the job security, this culture is part of their identity. It is how they grew up.
So hii directive ikiletwa, mimi na feel mayutu wengi tutakuwa unemployed, cause kama sisi group yangu yenye tunawak pamoja tuko group of 7 artists. So directive ikitolewa ya hii madriku kukuati hazitakuwa zinachorwa anymore, kila dinga zifanane, itakuwa ni kumaanisha ama artist wote wako unemployed, wa go back to the street, mtu atafute hustle lingine.
Dennis Mwangi is an electrician who installs the vibrant lighting scene in most Matatus. As a young father, he says this job is his livelihood.
Tunaweza ambia NTSA wakibani hizi lights, si vijana hatuna kazi ya kufanya. Sababu kuongea ukweli, mimi nimefanya almost 4 years. Na niko na bibi, hakuna pale pengine naweza pata do. Saa hii wakiban, si vijana tunaanza kuwa wezi, hatuna mboka, labda watupatie kazi.
Alex Rungu, a sound engineer, also voices his concerns.
Kenya vile tunakuanga tumeka ranks fulani because of our Matatus, So itakuwa imeshusha sana hiyo rank, unaelewa? Na bado ikifika point ya kulea watu, inatulea sisi zote, unaona? So wakisema watu cancel, itakuwa wamefanya a big mess, unaona?
Senator Samson Cherargei has condemned the crackdown, calling it unconstitutional. He argues it stifles artistic freedom and penalizes youth for being creative.
From position, I don't support what NTSA are trying to do, because under the Constitution on freedom of expression involves art. To express yourself through written, through signed language, through graphic designs, through art, through drawings, which depict the unique culture. And therefore, the Matatu culture that we have in this country is very unique. And it is an identity of Kenyan Matatu culture. So it's also part of creativity for most of the young people, because this gravity that we see in most of our matatus and public transport is embraced. It's one of the way of expressing themselves as young people in terms of fashion, in terms of our thinking as a nation, even using for educative purposes. I believe gravity is not just being put on public transport matatus or any, including railway, just for the purpose of putting it. It is part of expression for our younger generation. And therefore, the directive by NTSA should be revoked. They should cancel it. And I agree, maybe on the issue of tint, especially in public vehicles, that one we can reconsider. But on the issue of banning gravity is illegal, it's unconstitutional, it undermines freedom of expression, it endangers and also kills creativity through art, through written, through expression, through drawings. So number one, I call for NTSA to revoke. Number two, this is Matatu culture. This is our identity as a nation. Any person who walks into Kenya, and I've seen even tourists who normally come and board those matatus, not because of anything, because of matatu gravity.
The senator is among those calling on NTSA to engage youth artists and circles in dialogue to create safer yet still creative solutions, rather than issuing blanket bans.
The right to expression. If they read that right to expression, including art, including drawing, including any other form of expression, then it would be sufficient at that point to say that is what and I expect the courts to interpret that as part of freedom of expression. Because you can express yourself formally speaking, you can express yourself through drawing and design, art, even sign language. It's part of it. So there is no middle ground. The middle ground is the NTSA to revoke that directive. I agree with them when it talks about tinting. Then on the issue of tinting windows of public vehicles, I agree that it should be removed because those for easy inspection by the police officers. But on the issue of gravity, I don't think in any way. In fact, it has been allowed even when you travel abroad. By the way, are you aware most of even taxis or even trains, public transport in Europe and America, they are even being used to advertise. So which is more destructive? Because when you are driving, some of the taxis have been allowed to advertise products as they drive. I thought that is more even destructive than the gravity.
We also meet Opundo, another sound engineer, who proposes a middle ground, a win-win solution that upholds safety while preserving jobs.
At least wa regulate vitu nyana at least hata sisi pia pande yetu jua hakuna mtu ametandika kazi, ndio shughuli tutategemea. So watuambie na vitu tunaweza fika na vitu hatuwezi fika, atujua hatuwezi kataa. Sawa, hatuwezi kataa kitu tunadu.
Because a country's identity isn't confined to its museums, it moves through its streets. So, will Kenya preserve this mobile art form or erase it in the name of regulation? John Katimbwa, Vice Chair of Matatu Owners Association, says the law must be followed.
If the gravity is put on the body, not the windows, not the wind screens, that's acceptable. It's not bad for the sake of creating employment. In fact, when the former president allowed gravity on vehicles, did not allow gravity to be scribbled on the windows, such that when you are inside there, you can't see outside. That's outside the context.
He urges those opposing NTSA's directive to refer to the Traffic Act and, if necessary, seek legislative amendments rather than defying regulation.
Anything that borders on that, the law is very clear. I'm not the one creating it, but it's well packaged, it's well stipulated, well enacted. So if there are any complaints, the way to correct that is very clear. Take a bill to Parliament, repeal that.
But perhaps the real question is this: can safety and youth employment coexist? The answer may not lie in silence, but in dialogue. As Kenya battles with youth unemployment, Matatu culture may not just be a style choice, but it could be a lifeline, but only if safety and economy could sit at the same table. Gilbert Ono, TV 47, Nairobi.